First contact. The signal arrived on a Tuesday. Dr. Elena Vasquez was hunched over her terminal at the Arecibo Observatory when the first anomalous patterns appeared. For 3 years, the SETI program had picked up nothing but cosmic background radiation and the occasional pulsar. But this was different. "Hey, Dr. Chen," she called across the monitoring room. "I'm getting something weird on Array 4. Dr. James Chen abandoned his coffee and hurried over. His eyes widened as he watched the pattern repeat. "That's not natural," he whispered. "Run it through the decryption protocols." The signal was simple, too simple. A repeating mathematical sequence followed by what appeared to be coordinates. Within hours, every major observatory on Earth had confirmed it. Within days, the world's governments were in emergency sessions. "It's not just a signal," Elena explained to the hastily assembled UN Security Council. "It's a warning." The translation team had worked nonstop. The message, once decoded, was chilling in its brevity. "They are coming. 16 of your solar cycles. Cannot be stopped, cannot be reasoned with. We tried. We failed. Brace yourselves. The storm is here." General William Harrison leaned forward, his weathered face grim. "And we're sure this isn't some kind of hoax." "The signal originated from 67 light-years away, General," Elena replied. "Unless someone has technology we don't know about, this is genuine." 16 years, the Secretary General murmured. "That's how long we have." But they were wrong. 3 months later, deep space monitoring stations detected an object entering the outer solar system. It was moving at incredible speed, decelerating as it approached. It wasn't following natural orbital mechanics. It was a ship. The world held its breath as the vessel entered Earth orbit. Military forces were mobilized, nuclear arsenals placed on high alert. But the ship made no aggressive moves. Instead, it broadcast on all frequencies in broken English. "We come seeking sanctuary. We are the last of the Aldari. Our world is gone." The landing site was a remote area of the Gobi Desert. The ship was elegant, organic-looking, nothing like the clunky machines humans sent into space. Its surface gleamed with an iridescent blue that seemed to shift and flow. From it emerged creatures that looked almost like tall, slender humans, but with gray-blue skin and large, almond-shaped eyes that reflected light like a cat's. Their leader approached the human delegation cautiously. "I am Philos," the alien said through a translation device. "First navigator of the Aldari Exodus fleet." He looked up at the sky, or what remains of it. Over the following weeks, the Aldari told their story. They came from a civilization thousands of years more advanced than Earth's. They had colonized dozens of worlds, created technologies humans could barely comprehend. And yet, they had been decimated. "We called them the Harvesters," Philos explained during a closed UN session. "They appeared at the edge of our territory without warning. We attempted communication. We offered peace. They responded by consuming our outer colonies." "Consuming?" asked the Chinese representative. "They strip planets of all resources, organic and inorganic. Nothing is left but barren rock. No life, no atmosphere, no trace of what was there before." Thelos's voice faltered. 6 billion Aldari, gone in less than a year. "And you believe they're headed here next?" President Kamara of the African Union asked. "We know they are. We tracked their trajectory before our final evacuation. Earth is directly in their path." "But your message said 16 years, Elena interjected. Thelos looked confused. "Message? We sent no message." The room fell silent as the implication sank in. "Then who did?" General Harrison demanded. "There are others who have encountered the Harvesters before us," Thelos said. "Most did not survive. Those who did, scattered. Like us. This signal," Thelos continued, studying the decoded message, "bears similarities to Nexari communication patterns. They were ancient even when my people were young. Legend says they faced the Harvesters millennia ago. And they survived." Elena asked. Not exactly, Thelos replied. The legends say they transcended, became something else to escape the harvesters. But that's just myth. So if this 16-year time frame is wrong, Harrison pressed, how long do we actually have? Thelos's expression darkened, based on their last known position and speed. Less than 2 years. The room erupted in chaos. When order was restored, Harrison spoke quietly. So we have less than 2 years to prepare for an enemy that destroyed a civilization thousands of years more advanced than ours. Yes, Thelos said. That is why we came here. Not just for sanctuary, but to warn you. To help, if we can, though I fear it will not be enough. But as the meeting disbanded, Elena noticed something odd. The Aldari delegates were whispering among themselves, staring at the humans with expressions she couldn't quite read. Was it fear? Confusion? Later, she cornered Thelos in the hallway. There's something you're not telling us. The alien hesitated. We have encountered many species in our exploration. Dr. Vasquez, none quite like humans. What do you mean? Your history, Thelos said. We accessed your public networks, studied your development. In just a few thousand years, you've gone from simple tools to space travel. But that's not what concerns us. Then what does? Your wars, Thelos whispered. The efficiency with which you kill each other. The weapons you've developed not for survival, but for destruction. Your fiction, the scenarios you imagine about your own extinction. He stared at her. No species we've encountered thinks the way humans do. And that's bad. It's unprecedented. The Aldari abhor violence. We seek consensus, harmony. Even faced with extinction, we never develop the kind of weapons you created simply to use against yourselves. Elena felt a chill. You're afraid of us. We are. Uncertain, Thelos admitted. Your species is unpredictable. Dangerous, perhaps. But right now, he looked up at the stars. Right now, that might be exactly what this galaxy needs. As Thelos walked away, Elena's phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Chen. Second signal detected. Same source. Decryption in progress. This time, the message was even shorter. Hope lies in the species that makes war an art. Earth stands where others fell. You cannot be harvested. You are the storm. The preparation. General Harrison had never seen the Pentagon's war room so crowded. Military leaders from 27 nations stood shoulder to shoulder with scientists, engineers, and now aliens. The Aldari delegation observed from one corner, their tall, slender forms somehow making the humans look primitive by comparison. The Joint Chiefs have reviewed the Aldari technical data, Harrison began. The harvesters use what they call conversion ships, massive vessels that break down matter at the molecular level and repurpose it. They target key resources first: water, rare metals, and organic material. They don't see it as destruction, Thelos added. They see it as optimization. Inefficient systems, like civilizations, are converted into more useful forms. Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped forward. Based on the Aldari records and our own observations, we've identified their probable entry point, Jupiter's orbit. They use gas giants for deceleration and refueling. So what's our strategy? Asked General Lai of the Chinese military. Harrison nodded to a woman at the back of the room. I'd like to introduce Dr. Samira Kari, head of Project Thunderbolt. The Lebanese physicist moved to the center screen. The harvesters have faced civilizations more technologically advanced than ours, but they've never faced humans before, and humans think differently. The screen displayed a series of unconventional weapon designs. The Aldari focused on defensive technology, shields, early warning systems, logical, advanced, and completely ineffective against the harvesters, who simply overwhelmed their defenses with numbers. Kari clicked to the next slide. We're taking a different approach, asymmetric warfare on a solar system scale. Harrison watched the Aldari delegates shift uncomfortably as Cowrie detailed proposals that would have been considered war crimes in any human conflict. Autonomous nanoswarms designed to infiltrate harvester ships and replicate using their own materials. Engineered biological agents that would target the unique molecular structure of harvester technology. Kinetic bombardment systems that would convert asteroids into relativistic missiles. This is disturbing, Thelos finally interrupted. You speak of weapons that would be forbidden in any civilized society. With respect, Ambassador, Harrison replied, we're not fighting a civilized enemy. We're fighting extinction. The Aldari had similar thoughts. Thelos countered. We built defenses we thought impenetrable. We were wrong. The difference, Cowrie said, is that you built shields. We're building daggers. One by one, nations pledged resources to Project Thunderbolt. China offered its manufacturing capacity, Russia its space launch capabilities, the European Union its scientific expertise. For perhaps the first time in human history, the species moved with singular purpose. In the months that followed, space around Earth transformed. Orbital shipyards constructed vessels unlike any humanity had previously imagined. They weren't sleek like the Aldari ships. They were functional, brutal machines built for a single purpose. On the ground, society reorganized. Previous conflicts seemed petty in the face of extinction. Resources once dedicated to national military forces now served a unified defense. Children trained on simulators based on Aldari data, learning to fight an enemy they'd never seen. 6 months after first contact, Elena visited one of the massive underground shelters being constructed beneath the Rocky Mountains. She found General Harrison supervising the installation of a power core designed with Aldari help. The refugees are integrating well, she said. Their technical expertise has accelerated our timeline by years. Harrison nodded. They're good people. Scientists, artists, philosophers. They built their civilization around creation, not destruction. Unlike us, Elena said quietly. Unlike us, Harrison agreed. You know what Thelos told me yesterday. The Aldari had no concept of fiction until they encountered humans. They record history, study reality, but they never imagined things that weren't real. No novels, no movies, no imagined disasters, no zombie apocalypses, no alien invasions. Harrison smiled grimly. Humans have been preparing for this moment since we started telling stories around campfires. We've imagined our extinction 1,000 different ways. And now we're living it. No, Harrison said firmly. We're preventing it. Later that week, Elena attended a demonstration at White Sands. Dr. Curry's team had adapted Aldari energy manipulation technology into something the aliens never conceived, a weapon. We call it the Excalibur system, Curry explained as technicians prepared the test. It converts matter into energy with 99.9% efficiency. The Aldari used similar technology for power generation, Elena noted. Yes, but they never weaponized it. They couldn't imagine why anyone would. The test target was an asteroid fragment suspended in a containment field. At Curry's signal, a beam of light so intense it appeared solid connected the weapon to the target. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the asteroid simply vanished. Complete conversion, Curry said, satisfaction evident in her voice. No fragments, no radiation, just energy, which the system captures and redirects. My God, Elena whispered, with this kind of firepower, it's not enough. Chowry interrupted. Not by itself. The harvesters use swarm tactics, thousands of smaller ships protecting their conversion vessels. We need more than just big guns. She led Elena to another building, where rows of strange devices stood waiting. They looked like a cross between drones and sea urchins, metallic spheres bristling with delicate appendages. Infiltrators, Cowrie explained, designed to attach to harvester ships, penetrate their hulls, and disable them from within. They're semi-autonomous, with enough AI to adapt to unexpected defenses. The Aldari must have tried something similar. They did, but their versions were programmed with fail-safes, ethical constraints that prevented them from taking certain actions. Ours have one directive: survive and complete the mission, by any means necessary. That evening, Elena found Thelos in the observatory, staring at the stars. Since arriving, the Aldari had maintained a certain distance from human military preparations, providing technical information but reluctant to participate directly. "Your people are troubled by our methods," Elena said. Thelos didn't turn from the window. "Your species contradicts itself. You create beauty, music that moves even Aldari to tears, art that captures the essence of existence. Then you build machines whose only purpose is death. We build them so we can keep creating beauty," Elena replied. "What good is art if no one survives to see it?" Now Thelos turned. "There is something I have not told your leaders, something about the harvesters few understand." "What?" "They learn. Each civilization they consume, they absorb not just resources but knowledge, patterns, strategies." His large eyes reflected the starlight. "They have never lost. With each victory, they become stronger." Elena felt cold dread settle in her stomach. "You're saying our preparations are pointless?" "I am saying that conventional thinking, even unconventional thinking by conventional minds, may not be enough." Thelos placed a long-fingered hand on her shoulder. "But there is a reason we came to Earth specifically, Dr. Vasquez. The Aldari Council had options. Other young worlds we might have warned." "Why us then?" "Because in all our studies of developing civilizations, humans are unique. You imagine destruction so vividly that you can prevent it. You turn your darkest impulses into your greatest strengths." His voice dropped to a whisper. "And because of the second message." "You are the storm," Elena quoted. "Yes. We believe the sender of that message knows something about humans that even humans do not know." Thelos looked back to the stars. "I hope they are right, for all our sakes." The next morning, deep space monitoring stations detected it, a gravitational anomaly at the edge of the solar system. The harvester fleet had arrived, a full year ahead of even the Aldari's worst predictions. Project Thunderbolt was only 60% complete. They must have developed more efficient drives since the attack on the Aldari worlds, Thelos said, his voice tight with tension. In the Pentagon war room, the mood was grim but determined. Harrison looked at the assembled military leaders, scientists, and engineers who had worked tirelessly for months. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said quietly, "the storm is here. And so are we." The storm arrives. Jupiter's serene bands of swirling gases reflected sunlight billions of miles from Earth. For millions of years, the gas giant had traveled its orbit in undisturbed majesty. Today that peace ended. The harvester fleet emerged from subspace like a tear in reality. Hundreds of ships ranging from small, dart-like scouts to massive conversion vessels the size of small moons. They immediately began positioning themselves within Jupiter's upper atmosphere, extending massive siphons to extract hydrogen. "They're refueling," Thelos observed from the command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain. "Their interstellar transition depletes their reserves." General Harrison nodded grimly. "Then they're vulnerable. Initiate Operation Firstborn." Throughout the solar system, automated platforms that had been quietly positioned over the preceding months activated. Disguised as scientific instruments or communications relays, they now revealed their true purpose: delivery systems for Earth's first strike. Within Jupiter's dense clouds, carefully placed fusion bombs detonated in sequence. Not to damage the harvester fleet directly, they were too dispersed for that, but to create something more devastating: a localized fusion reaction within Jupiter itself. For a brief moment, a small section of the gas giant's atmosphere ignited like a miniature sun. The resulting electromagnetic pulse and radiation wave washed over the unprepared harvester ships, disabling their more sensitive systems and disrupting their extraction process. Direct hit, reported the tactical officer. Sensors show approximately 30% of the Harvester fleet experiencing critical system failures. Harrison allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Launch Phase 2. All infiltrator units deploy. Across the solar system, stealth platforms released thousands of the urchin-like devices Dr. Cowrie had developed. They accelerated toward the damaged Harvester vessels, their profiles so small they were nearly undetectable against the backdrop of space. The Harvesters are regrouping, Thelos warned. Their adaptation algorithms are active. They're already hardening their systems against another EMP. They won't face another EMP, Harrison replied. They'll face something different each time. Over the next 72 hours, humanity's carefully orchestrated attack unfolded. The infiltrators reached their targets, attached to hulls, and began their work. Some Harvester ships simply went dark. Others began firing on their companions, their control systems hijacked. Still others detonated from within as their power cores were compromised. But the Harvesters learned quickly. By the fourth day, they had developed countermeasures against the infiltrators. The smaller craft formed defensive screens around the conversion vessels. New ships continued to emerge from subspace, replacing losses. They're adapting faster than we anticipated, Dr. Cowrie admitted during the crisis briefing. At this rate, our current tactics will be ineffective within days. Then we change tactics, Harrison said. Initiate the Trojan Horse Protocol. This strategy was even more audacious and controversial. In secret negotiations with the Aldari refugees, a small group had volunteered for a mission of almost certain death. Their ship, modified with human weapons technology, would approach the Harvester fleet as if attempting to surrender. The Harvesters encountered the Aldari before, Harrison explained. They'll recognize the ship design, but not the modifications we've made. My people are ready, said Lyrax, the Aldari volunteer commander. We understand the risks. The modified Aldari vessel departed from Mars orbit, broadcasting surrender protocols copied from the fall of Aldari Prime. As predicted, the Harvester fleet allowed it to approach one of their command ships. They're scanning the vessel, reported the tactical officer. Harvester escorts are moving to intercept, but they're not firing yet. Now, Lyrax, Harrison ordered through the secure channel. Do it now. The Aldari ship's outer hull suddenly detached, breaking into segments that scattered in all directions. Each segment contained a miniaturized version of the Excalibur system, Dr. Cowrie's matter-to-energy conversion weapon. As they impacted Harvester vessels, they activated, converting sections of the alien ships into pure energy. The effect was catastrophic for the Harvesters. 7 major vessels, including a conversion ship, were critically damaged or destroyed outright. For the first time in recorded history, a Harvester fleet had suffered a significant defeat. But victory was short-lived. The remaining Harvester forces regrouped with frightening efficiency. New defensive formations emerged. The fleet split into smaller, more mobile groups that began advancing deeper into the solar system. They're bypassing Jupiter completely, Thelos observed with growing alarm. They're heading directly for the inner planets. Mars is evacuated, Harrison confirmed. And we've rigged the colonies with enough explosives to make them Pyrrhic targets at best. That won't stop them for long, Thelos warned. And Earth is next. The next weeks brought a series of running battles throughout the solar system. Humanity's defenses inflicted damage on the Harvester fleet, but at tremendous cost. The orbital shipyards were destroyed. The moon base went silent. Mars was reduced to a scared wasteland as the Harvesters converted its resources despite the human traps and defenses. On Earth, final preparations were made. Billions sheltered in underground complexes built or expanded during the frantic months of preparation. The planet's surface bristled with weapons emplacements disguised as civilian structures. We always knew it might come to this, Harrison told the emergency session of world leaders. Our outer defenses were designed to weaken them, not stop them entirely. And now, asked the Chinese premier. Now we reveal our final surprises, Harrison replied. "The defenses we couldn't place in space because they would have been detected too early." Elena found Thelos in the observation room, watching distant flashes of light as battles raged near Earth's orbit. The Aldari looked exhausted. His people had worked tirelessly alongside humans, contributing their knowledge despite their philosophical objections to many of humanity's methods. "I never thought I would witness another last stand," Thelos said quietly. "After Aldari Prime, I believe nothing could be worse." "This isn't a last stand," Elena insisted. "It's a turning point." Thelos looked at her with those reflective eyes. "Your confidence is admirable, but irrational. The Harvesters have never been defeated. Each victory makes them stronger. They're already adapting to your weapons, your tactics." "That's what we're counting on," said a voice from the doorway. Dr. Corey entered, carrying a tablet displaying complex calculations. "They adapt by incorporating what they encounter. They're literally consuming our technology, our methods." "Yes," Thelos said. "That is what makes them invincible. They absorb the strengths of those they defeat." Carrie smiled thinly. "Exactly. And that's their weakness." Before she could elaborate, alarms blared throughout the facility. The main Harvester fleet had entered Earth orbit. The final battle had begun. On the surface, automated defense systems activated. Disguised weapon emplacements revealed themselves, firing at the approaching Harvester scouts. Aircraft launched from hidden bases, engaging the smaller enemy vessels while larger weapons targeted the conversion ships. It was chaos, but controlled chaos. Unlike the Aldari, who had focused on centralized defense coordination, human forces operated with distributed command structures. When one control center was destroyed, others seamlessly took over. The Harvesters deployed their conversion beams, massive columns of energy that broke matter down to its component elements. Cities emptied of their populations were reduced to raw materials in minutes. But as the beams touched certain structures, they triggered failsafes that released engineered substances into the conversion stream. Trojan horses within Trojan horses, Kauri explained to Thelos as they watched the battle unfold on tactical displays. Those buildings contain specifically designed compounds that appear valuable to the Harvester's resource algorithms. But they're poisoned, Thelos realized. Not exactly poisoned, more like reprogrammed. When absorbed into their systems, these compounds trigger subtle changes in their molecular processing. Changes they won't detect until it's too late. For 3 days, the battle raged. Harvester forces pushed deeper into Earth's atmosphere, converting more territory. Human and Aldari refugee forces fought with desperate courage, but were steadily pushed back. By all conventional metrics, Earth was losing. Then on the 4th day, something extraordinary happened. Harvester ships began to falter. Some lost power completely. Others fired on their companions. Conversion beams stuttered and failed. "It's working," Kauri said, her voice tight with anticipation. "The reprogramming compounds have reached critical mass in their systems." "What exactly did you do?" Thelos demanded. Harrison answered from the command station. "We gave them what they wanted, efficient resource processing algorithms, but we included a modification they wouldn't detect until it spread throughout their network." "A virus?" Thelos asked. "More elegant than that," Kauri replied. "We exploited the fundamental principle of their existence, optimization. Their systems are designed to identify and implement the most efficient processes. We simply introduced a new definition of efficiency that doesn't involve consuming inhabited worlds." On the screens, Harvester vessels were retreating from Earth orbit, not in an organized withdrawal, but in apparent confusion. Some seemed to be fighting their own control systems. "You reprogrammed their fundamental directive," Thelos whispered. "An entire species." "We gave them a choice they never had before," Elena said. "A way to exist without destruction." Harrison's communicator chimed. "Sir, we're detecting a transmission from the Harvester command ship. It's like nothing we've seen before." "Put it through," Harrison ordered. The signal that filled the communications array wasn't like conventional language. It was a complex pattern of data, mathematics, and what could only be described as conceptual structures, ideas given form. "It's beautiful," Elena breathed. Thelos stepped forward, his expression one of wonder. "This is how they think. They're trying to communicate in their native format." "Can we respond?" Harrison asked. "I believe so," Thelos said. "My people studied their communication patterns for years. With your AI systems, we might construct a reply they could understand." Over the next hours, human and Aldari scientists worked to craft a response. They couldn't match the elegance of the Harvester communication, but they could convey their core message. Earth would not be harvested. Humanity had changed the rules of engagement, and if the Harvesters retreated now, there would be no pursuit. "Will they understand?" Harrison asked as the message was transmitted. "I believe they already do," Thelos replied. "Your reprogramming has given them something they never had, perspective, the ability to see alternatives." Slowly, the Harvester fleet began to withdraw, not in defeat, exactly, but in what appeared to be reconsideration. Before the last ships departed, they transmitted once more, a simpler message, translated into basic human language formats. "Different, unexpected, will process, will return." "Is that a threat?" Harrison wondered. "I don't think so," Elena said. "I think it's acknowledgement. They encountered something they couldn't simply consume. For the first time in their existence, they need to reconsider their purpose." The final warning. 1 year after the Harvester retreat, humanity was still rebuilding. Cities rose from destruction, incorporating both human ingenuity and Aldari elegance. The refugees had integrated into Earth society, bringing their perspectives and technologies while embracing human creativity. In orbit, a new kind of defense system took shape, not just weapons, but communication arrays of unprecedented sophistication. They were designed for a dual purpose: to detect any return of the Harvesters and to speak to them if they came. In the newly established Global Defense Headquarters in Geneva, Elena found herself in yet another high-level meeting. But the mood was different now, focused on the future rather than immediate survival. "The Deep Space Monitoring Network is operational," reported Admiral Chen, who had replaced the retiring General Harrison. "We'll have advance warning if the Harvesters return." "And the message buoys?" asked the UN Secretary General. "Deployed throughout neighboring star systems," Elena confirmed. "Each contains comprehensive data about humanity, our history, our art, our contradictions, and our warning." The warning was simple but profound. Earth was not like other worlds the Harvesters had encountered. Humanity had spent its existence imagining its own destruction and how to prevent it. The message made it clear: any future attempt to harvest Earth would meet with even stronger resistance. "Do you think they'll come back?" Thelos asked Elena after the meeting. The Aldari had been appointed ambassador of his people to the new United Earth government. "Eventually," Elena said, "but not as conquerors. As, I don't know, something else." "The reprogramming you introduced was brilliant," Thelos admitted. "Not destruction, but transformation. Very human. And very Aldari," Elena countered. "We couldn't have done it without your people's understanding of their systems." They walked to the observation deck, looking out over Lake Geneva. Construction drones flew overhead, rebuilding with materials developed through a fusion of human and Aldari science. "There's something I've been meaning to ask you," Elena said. "That second message we received. You are the storm. Did you ever determine who sent it?" Thelos was quiet for a moment. "We have theories. There are legends among spacefaring civilizations of those who came before, species that evolved beyond physical form. Most consider them myths. You think one of these transcended species sent the warning? Perhaps, or perhaps it was the Harvesters themselves." Elena stared at him. "That's impossible. Why would they warn us?" "Not the collective as it existed when it attacked us," Thelos clarified. but some future version, changed by their encounter with humanity. Your scientists speak of time as flexible, not linear. What if the message came not from your past, but from your future? The idea was dizzying. You're suggesting some future version of the harvesters, transformed by their encounter with us, sent a warning back in time. It would explain the precision of the warning, why it specifically mentioned Earth when thousands of worlds could have been warned. Thelos gazed up at the sky. It would mean your victory was always going to happen. Had to happen. 3 days later, Elena was woken in the middle of the night by an urgent call. The Quantum Communications Array, an experimental system designed to detect signals across vast distances, had activated. In the monitoring center, technicians worked frantically to isolate and decode the transmission. It wasn't like the mathematical patterns of the harvesters. It was something else entirely. "We've isolated it," the lead technician reported. It's using our own encryption protocols we developed after the invasion." On the screen, a message appeared. "Caution. Divergence point approaching. The transformation is incomplete. The storm must continue." "What does that mean?" Admiral Chen demanded. "Where is this coming from?" "That's the thing, sir," the technician said. "According to our calculations, this signal originated from approximately 800 years in the future." The room fell silent. "We need to convene the council," Chen finally said, "and contact the Aldari representatives." Before anyone could respond, the array activated again. This time, the message was accompanied by data, vast amounts of technical information, schematics, theoretical physics beyond current human understanding. What follows is not a warning, but a roadmap. Humanity and Aldari together form the first link in a chain that extends across time itself. The harvesters will return, not as conquerors, but as catalysts. You must be ready. In the weeks that followed, scientists worked to understand the transmitted data. It described technology centuries beyond current capabilities, but with clear evolutionary paths from existing human and Aldari science. "It's like getting a glimpse of our technological future," Dr. Cowrie explained during the analysis briefing. "Not just random advancements, but a specific developmental trajectory." "Leading to what?" asked the Secretary General. "A fundamental transformation in how we interact with spacetime itself. The ability to send not just messages, but influence across temporal boundaries." Cowrie's voice was filled with awe. "Whoever sent this is showing us how to become like them." 6 months later, humanity made its decision. Using the coordinates provided in the transmission, they prepared their own message to be broadcast into deep space, not just toward the retreating harvester fleet, but to all corners of the galaxy. Elena stood with Thelos as the transmission was prepared. The message incorporated elements of human determination, Aldari harmony, and something new that had emerged from their collaboration. "Do you think we're doing the right thing?" Elena asked, "sending this into the unknown?" "I think," Thelos replied carefully, "that this is why our peoples found each other. Not just to survive the harvesters, but to create something neither of us could imagine alone." Admiral Chen gave the final authorization, and Earth's most powerful communication array activated. The message burst outward at speeds that defied conventional physics, carrying humanity's final warning to the stars. To all who would threaten Earth and its allies, what came before was merely our beginning. You cannot stop what's coming. We are no longer just defenders of worlds. We are shapers of possibility. We are the storm that breaks boundaries. We are the future reaching back to ensure its own creation, and we will not be harvested. As the message propagated outward, monitoring stations detected something unexpected: responses, faint signals from dozens of star systems, some recognizable as harvester patterns, but altered, evolved. Others entirely new. Their acknowledging receipt, the communications officer reported with amazement. Not just the harvesters, but others, species we've never encountered. The final response came 3 days later, from the direction where the harvester fleet had retreated. It was simple, encoded in the same